introduce our speakers for today. First of all, we have Chinwe Egwim. She's the Chief Economist at Coronation Merchant Bank. We have Neya Kalu, Chairman of the Sun newspaper. And we have Ifesinachi Okpagu, Chief Marketing Officer of Health Insurance and Health Life Assurance. A round of applause for this powerful lady. Thank you. So before we jump into what we have today, I'd like to give an introductory statement of why we chose to have thought-provoking conversations about women's careers, limitations, and how to overcome them. Unfortunately, in this day and time, there are still multiple constraints that underlie gender inequality in the career and business world. In recent times, gender equality and getting more women into leadership roles are trending topics. More awareness and conversation on gender is surely a good thing, but is this noise masking a lack of real action and progress? There's still a significant lag in fulfilling promises of equality at work, with a 100-year gap from female representation in leadership to pay equity. This is why we chose to focus on the invisible wall that limits women and also speak on how women can overcome these factors within and outside the workplace. Our speakers will give insights on what these limitations are and also share personal experiences on how we can all achieve career success. Thank you. Okay, so this session promises to be short, sweet, and impactful. So I'll just let us know this ladies a bit. So let's start with Chinwe. Can you give us a quick summary of your career and highlight one major achievement that you're most proud of?
Okay, thank you for that. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so when I'm asked this question, it's always difficult to answer because I view career as more than my professional title, right? I am an economist, but there are specific pillars that make up what I would call my career. So I would say the first is, yes, being an economist. The second would be a gender equality leader. I'm an author, investor, and a policy expert as well. So about my career, I kicked off my career at the Central Bank of Nigeria, and then I worked in the UK and also in Milan before returning to Nigeria, where I came back into the corporate world, but this time private sector as opposed to the public sector. So I kicked off my career as an economist. Now, my role as an economist allows me to also delve into policy-inclined activities. So outside my role as an economist, let me just mention, as an economist, I have to write. I do a lot of writing and projection. And I have over 700 published economic notes under my belt. And thanks. I sit on the advisory boards of a handful of women empowerment platforms. As I said, it's always difficult, I feel weird reading all of this. But let me just go straight to the, what did you ask me? Accomplishments, right?
Yes.
Okay, there are too many to list. However, every recognition, every award, and every appointment, I cherish, right? They come at different times. I remember when I won, I always give this story in camp, when I won the Her Network Career Woman of the Year. That was in 2018. And it came at a very difficult time. I was going through some personal issues. And so it really did help to pull me out of that ickiness that I was feeling. I would also say that when I delivered a paper at the World Bank Spring Meetings, an economic paper in 2017, I think I would regard that as one of my proudest moments because I didn't think I could do it. What do you call that thing? Imposter Syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was wondering, why are you asking me to come all the way to DC to do that? And I was able to do it to conquer my fears. So I would say that those two are things that I would highlight as achievements that I'm very much proud of.
All I can say is wow. I want to be like you. Moving on to Neya. Please, can you just give us a me of your career and one major achievement you're most proud of.
Can everyone hear me? Yes? Yes? Okay. I started my career at 18, just working behind the scenes mostly, and started in shipping, started in oil and gas, and worked in a bank, and had my son, and then I decided to be a stay-at-home mom for 2 years. And after that, I opened a chain of nail salons in Lagos. And I also have a couple of hotels as well, but that's not the point.
That's the
and
point. Tell us. Know your own content.
and now I am the chairman and publisher of The Sun, but my greatest accomplishment is definitely my child. That's non-negotiable. So he's definitely the biggest thing that I've ever done in my life. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, Ifesinachi, could you just give us a summary of your career and highlight one major achievement you're most proud of?
Hello, everyone. I started my career many years ago in production. So, to put things in context, I'm one of those people who have kind of done a lot of things, played and worked across different industries. So, first of all, I started in production. How many of us watched Moments with Mo back in 2010? Right, great. So I was one of the team right then. And then from there, I moved on to real estate as a copywriter. And then I moved, of course, into technology. And then finally, I joined Hares Holdings Group. For the past 7 years, I've been in Hares Holdings Group. First, I was one of the pioneer team for Hares Insurance way before we launched last year. And then the head of marketing and corporate communications for the Tony Elimelu Foundation. That was back in 2018. And then currently the chief marketing officer for two of Nigeria's leading insurance companies, Hares Insurance Limited and Hares Life Assurance. In terms of achievements, I think I've kind of done a lot. And I see that every single experience that I've been through, every single journey that I've had to take, every single campaign that I've had to run, I look at them as my achievements. And so I can't really pick anything out. I just know that they are all achievements. Beyond that, I'm also an author. I'm also a screenwriter. These are things that I'm very proud of, that I do, right outside work. And yeah, every single experience is pretty much something for me. Thank you.
Please clap for them. It's not easy. It's not easy to achieve all these wonderful things. So without wasting too much of your time, let's jump right in. Neya, so I'm going to ask you a personal question, right? So I don't know about other people in this room. I'll speak for myself. What I learned in my university days didn't prepare me enough for work and my career. So what would you say is like the most valuable to you, your education or your experience? Like in 1 minute, can you just give us an answer?
Definitely my experience. I don't think that, when you're in a classroom, anybody teaches you about what to do when there's inflation, what to do when there's bad governance, what to do when somebody has stolen millions of nairas from your business. So I think experience is it, and it's very telling because you find people that, stop at primary school or stop at secondary school and they're able to build something. You always hear about boys in the north building a car from scratch. They didn't go to school. So, experience is what really molds you to know what your path is and what you want to really do in this life. Education is important. I would always say that. Everybody deserves an education. However, I think life experiences really, really teach you, the way to move forward and what to do with yourself.
Thank you so much for that response. So the next question is for Chinwe, and it goes like this. As a female financial expert in the male-dominated industry, what are the biggest challenges women face in your sector, and how can they overcome them?
You're asking me tough questions, eh? Okay, so let me just start by saying that I don't agree that my industry is male dominated. Yeah, I don't think it's
Male-dominated.
yes, I don't think it's male dominated, and that is really on the back of a research paper that I launched last year at Wimbledon. I think finance has actually made some good strides with closing the gender gap. Now, are there roles in the finance sector that are tilted towards guys? Yes, my role is one of them. And I can only speak from my perspective as opposed to in general. And I wouldn't say, I don't know that I would clip it on just gender. This that I'm about to say. It's also around ageism, right? Okay. So, and it's not a current issue right now for me, but it's something I did struggle with. I would go into meetings or rooms, and maybe because I would come off as the only lady and the youngest, there's always like shock or gasping, like when I would take my seat to speak on behalf of, let's say, my managing director, or to speak on things around policy that are linked to economics. So how did I take care of that challenge? I'm still doing it. I hyper prepare for things, right?
Which is really good.
Yeah, it might even be a bit adverse sometimes because I could have a 10-minute speaking engagement and I would use 5 days to prepare for that, right? Because I don't give room for errors. So I would say that that is one issue. And also, like, it's shutting down women in the room at meetings. So you'd find that you're trying to give a contribution and somebody's using maybe their hands or something to try to keep you quiet. But as I said, that was like earlier in my career, right? And again, I think you need to be well equipped. You need to have content, you need to read, you need to know, you need to prepare before you go into your meetings. You should also have meetings before your meeting, right? And I'll share a secret with you guys. I always put myself in the agenda. If it's an internal meeting. Internal meetings are very important, by the way, as important as external meetings, because when we go into that room where we're doing appraisal, yeah, visibility is essential. So putting myself in the agenda, I'm an economist, right? So I would like to open a meeting to set the tone and stuff like that. And there are other roles that if you think hard or think through, you're able to inject yourself into agendas. But maybe not everyone can do that, but you should have the meeting before the meeting. I hope that helps.
Yes. So just to give a quick recap of what she said, the key thing is to over prepare. So like you are not caught unaware in anything or any meeting. Internal meetings are also key. So I think that was it. We move on to Ifesinachi. The question is, I mean, I've heard about you, I've read your bio, and I can't help but notice your career progression, right? From this to that, very key roles. So, I mean, I also had to think it's because you're getting these roles because you're a pretty good negotiator. So, what advice would you have for women? Someone who's just entering like the job market, or can you hear me? Yeah, apologies, I'm so sorry. So I said, let me just go over start from the beginning again. So I said that I have noticed Ifesinachi, I've seen her bio, we've noticed her career progression, right? So I mean that's due to her talent and her reputation. But we can't help but notice that she's a pretty good negotiator. So what advice would you have for someone who is just entering the job market, or someone who wants to make that major move and wants a salary increment?
Really interesting question. I think we negotiate every single day. In fact, let me ask the audience. In the past 24 hours, have you been in a position where you had to negotiate knowingly? If you have been, can you just raise your hands? Okay. Who are those that have not been in that situation where you had to negotiate in the past 24 hours? Okay, so all of us, right? Well, just a few of us. Even getting here at the time that we did, we probably had to negotiate, right? Great. So I think just in terms of tips, the first thing is proving yourself. And let me explain. before you even start negotiating, I think you need to know who you are, what you can deliver, what you can bring to the table, even if it's an informal negotiation. In my career, even though, yes, it looks as if I've just been moving from one role to another, I've noticed that I've had to prove myself with every single opportunity, every single challenge I've taken. I've had to prove myself. And I think it's really important for women, not just to prove yourself, but like Chinwe said, to be visible, to make yourself visible, to make your work visible. We run the risk many times of hiding the things we do, of not talking about them enough, of not bringing them up in meetings. Everyone is talking and you're quiet. You don't want to say because you know you want to be the good girl in the meeting. No, that's the opportunity where you have to actually talk about what you've achieved. Now, one thing that I do is that I actually I have a notebook where I keep track of achievements because the brain. There are too many things in our brain, right? And we can forget things easily. So I keep track of them so that when the time comes, when that small opportunity, that small door opens up, that's the opportunity for me to recount that, look, this has been achieved, this has been achieved, this has been achieved. And of course, let me tell you the truth. These things may not seem to count at that time, but trust me, someone is taking notice. And when the opportunity comes, they will think of the person who has done 1, 2, 3, who has put themselves out, who is taking on new challenges, and that's the person that they would, consider for the next opportunity. The second part regarding negotiation is actually, there was a discussion that I had with someone, I think it was 2 days ago on negotiation, strangely enough. And I kept saying that, look, the first thing is even knowing when to negotiate. Knowing that you have to negotiate every single opportunity. I tell my line reports all the time. Sometimes we will just, do this, and there's so little time. I expect them to come back to me to say, look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on my plate. Please, instead of delivering this on Monday, can I, deliver it on Tuesday instead? If they don't talk about it, then I assume it's taken. But if you come back, and many times, then that's why I said it's so important that you should even learn to negotiate every single opportunity. If you come back to say, look, I can't deliver this and this and this, then it's just you asserting yourself. And guess what? It's also part of just taking your position in the mind space of that person. Because it's left for the other person to just talk, but you too, when you put your voice in, then you become an important part of that conversation. So I think those two tips are probably mine, from my personal lessons.
That was very helpful, Ifesinachi. So we have to keep it moving. The next question is for Neya. So we're talking about limitations in the workplace, right? We're aware that there are institutional and systemic barriers in the workplace. However, as women, we place certain limitations on ourselves. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of opportunities before we even find out if we got what it takes to lead. But as a leader in your industry, what do you think is responsible for women not wanting to take up male-dominated roles? Tough one, right?
That's a tough one. I'll compare that to, and I hope nobody gets offended, but I'll compare that to slavery. If you notice, with people who have been enslaved, there's a mind shift, right? And because women have been under the microscope for so long and under this sort of pressure for so long, of course there's going to be some sort of self-doubt, right? Even though you know that you're capable of doing what you're assigned to do, there's always what if? And like Ifesinachi pointed out, let me just keep quiet because I don't want to overstep. I don't want to overdo. I don't want to seem like, okay, I'm the smartest one in the room. But Chinwe, her summary was own it. I step in and people are looking at me like, okay, where is the chairman and publisher of the Sun newspaper? I'm right here. So there's a shock, but you have to own it. And I said this in an interview I granted a few months ago. You can't be sorry for being female. That's your superpower. There's a reason why we are under attack the way we are, because God forbid,
a woman is able to work, a woman is able to be pregnant, a woman is able to cook, a woman is able to compartmentalize everything that she has, a woman is able to multitask, no matter what it is. We do well under pressure. And that's how diamonds are formed, right? So men are constantly, under pressure by women. Oh, sorry, God forbid she gets the position I get, so she must have slept with someone. She must have showed her thigh. Somebody must have stroked her hair. No, it's my brain. The same way God gave you a brain is the same way God gave me a brain. And mine seems to be working just as good as yours is. So what is the issue? So yeah, I think that women put those limitations on themselves because society has put the limitations on them. And it's a heavy weight to carry. I don't see any men, going around like, oh, hi, Mr. Man. So why are you able to balance work and dad life? Nobody asks them anything, but it's because, we're women and, women are not allowed to be busy. Women are not allowed to have a life. You can't do anything. You can't wear your hair. You can't have long hair. You can't have short hair. You can't have long nails. You can't do anything. And most of us succumb to those pressures. Most of us are like, okay, let me have my nails this way. Let me paint my hair this way. Let me do this. Let me do that. But society has done that. If you go to America and you relate to an African American, you almost see that they're not sure of themselves because not knowing where you're coming from puts a lot on you.
But let me say that I think each person needs to be able to identify their personal brand pillars, right? You need to understand what it is you want to be known or recognized for. I would use myself to help people. The first thing is I want to be known as an economist. I think I'm doing a good job of that.
Yes, you are.
Okay, then gender equality leader. So that is why I try to attach myself to projects or organizations that are pushing for that because I don't have the luxury to set up mine. So I would rather get an advisory role. I'm an author. I have a book called Understanding Economic Jargon, right? And that is linked to my career. And I also invest in small businesses as well. So I think the first thing is to just identify the brand pillars that you want to be recognized for. You need to create content. Unfortunately, that is the world we're living in now. You need to create content that is relevant to where you're trying to go or the rooms you want to enter. But let me just read it in and take it back to the corporate space because this is her career and her brand. I want to encourage those who have 9 to 5s to please take internal visibility seriously, right? Because I've worked in so many organizations, so I'm not pinning this on any organization, but you find that during appraisal sessions, when everyone is, looking at different employees and trying to make a decision on who to promote or not to promote, this visibility, I've noted that it is a thing because someone could be doing incredible work, but people cannot speak for someone that they don't know. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Yes.
So I really want to encourage those of you. I don't know how many people in here are 9 to 5ers as opposed to business owners, but and it's not just in meetings. You can send update emails. You can walk into the offices of your executives, ask for 10 minutes, and say, if you use first name basis, you do that, you smile, whatever you use. Can I have 10 minutes of your time? I want to walk you through what I've been working on, right? You should know the decision makers in your firm. So, I don't know, like, if you leave me, I'll keep going on and on, so maybe you should cut me off now. But I hope that's sufficient information that would assist those who are listening.
Yes, thank you so much, Chinwe. That was quite insightful. So now to the last question, and this is for Ifesinachi. I mean, we all know Beyonce's song, right? Break My Soul, right? So that caused a massive recognition wave on the internet, abroad, and everywhere. So that song just pushed women because we are actually tired. Women are tired in their workplace, their business, everywhere. So what advice would you give to women to prevent them from being burnt out? Just help us.
I think there's a straightforward answer to that, and that's try not to, be burnt out. But in our careers, whether you own a business or you take a 9 to 5 or something. At some point, you know when you have reached your threshold. You know, and so it's okay. It's okay to take a break. Many of us, especially when you're juggling a family, husband, children, and the like, and then work, we need to take time off. Many times, I've noticed mothers, especially, feeling guilty. There's just that guilty feeling that I'm taking time off. Just like Neya said, I had to take 2 years as well, especially early on when I had my first child. And I recall feeling this intense guilt that, I was at home taking care of children. Don't feel guilty. It's okay. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to come back. I recall that period not just feeling a sense of guilt, but also feeling intense failure. Because I kept thinking, oh, everyone else is going very far. They're all passing me. They're all going far. They're all doing this. They're all doing that. And I talked with someone, a mentor at the time, and she said, look, stay on your lane. Don't compare your own track with someone else's track. Compare your track with your own track. Whatever it is you were last year, seek to beat that, that track. Seek to beat that title. Be a better version of yourself year after year. If you need to take time off to come back refreshed, energized, stronger, take the time off. If you need to partner with someone else, reach out a hand and partner, do that. Whatever you need to become your own version of success, do it without guilt. Do it without feeling a sense of failure. There's a time for everyone, and trust me, that slang. All of us will blow one day. So I think that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have come to the end of this session. I hope it was quite impactful for you guys as it was for me. Do we have any questions? Okay, so can we give the lady over there a mic? So we only have time to take just one question, unfortunately.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Caroline Oko, and I'm a content writer / a copywriter. And I don't know if this is allowed, but my question is for Neya Kalu. Yes, so in the bid to become more visible and to upgrade my brand, I was wondering if it's okay to connect with you and become a contributor for your brand, because I don't even think I have a very robust portfolio, and I would love you to see it. So thank you very much.
I think we can take another question, right? One last question. Yes. So
hi, thank you so much. My name is Ella George, the bridge builder. So my question is a bit of the flip side. You've spoken about careers and why you should be visible and all of that. My day job, I work as a consultant. And because I want to support women, what I do is strategy. But at some point in trying to grow a business, the CEOs tell you, we need to fill this role, that role, or you figure out that you need to fill some roles. And so I would try to scout for people that I have seen as visible and recommend. And in the past 1 year to 18 months, I have been thoroughly disappointed by, some women who you thought were doing great, recommended them, and then they go in there and they're just not meeting up, right? So I want you to speak to how you cover that gap between putting yourself out there and creating your personal brand and actually knowing the work. Like actually knowing the skills and what it takes to rule in today, like to lead in today's, what should women do to really learn how to upgrade to the point that men, are doing?
okay, so who would like to answer that question? Chinwe.
Thank you for that. That's a really good question. And the first thing I'll say is that you should run away from mediocrity, right? If you remember when I was talking, I kept saying prepare, read, research. for me, putting myself out there, it took me. I think I had at least 100 economic notes. I needed to feel that I knew what I was doing before I started going on TV. Right? Maybe I'm too hard on myself. I don't know, but from my perspective or from my vantage point, preparation. Because even I sit on recruitment panels and I can relate to that question. And of course, given that I'm a lady who promotes gender equality, there's a small bias. Like when I see candidates that are female, and yeah, sometimes you get disappointed when they don't get to the recruitment like being permanent employees, but maybe when you interview them, you get upset. So I think the very short answer to that is you can run away from hard work. You cannot do that. You need to put your head down and do not. The biggest mistake, career suicide. You put yourself out there and you make a mess of yourself. So you need to prepare for everything you're doing. You can't. There are no shortcuts. So yeah, I guess that's my answer.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we have to end the session. All right.